Super. Thank you so much. Well, we are just minutes away from the opening main stage session, but before we get to that, I'm so excited to be joined by James Latham now. Hi, James.
Hello, how are you, Amanda?
I'm so good. Thank you for joining us. Now, I know you are presenting a session on the rise of intellectual capitalism and a conversation that really has to do with aligning strategies of associations and destinations. So let's talk a little bit about why it's important to align with the destinations for that mutual growth that we're looking for in our industry.
Okay, well, Amanda, first of all, let me say how excited I am to be back at Convening Leaders. This is the event of the year for me, so it's great to be here. And what's exciting, I think, about this marketplace at the moment is the changing dialogue, the way that we're moving from being a commodity, hardware-driven, infrastructure-driven marketplace to one which is now being driven by intellectual capital, by knowledge, because we all appreciate that the future of most industries is knowledge-based. Everybody keeps talking about innovation, talent, and to that extent, business events, congresses, conferences, they all have a tremendous role to play in connecting knowledge-based communities. And it's noticeable that city administrations are recognizing that the growth for their cities is going to come from this knowledge-based economy. So by bringing these knowledge-based communities through the form of conferences or congresses like these into a city, it's a great opportunity for the destination to align itself to the subject matter of that conference, but also to attract the talent and the inward investment that potentially comes with that community. Conversely, for the association and its community to be able to access pockets of knowledge of intellectual capital in a particular field of biotech or high tech or fintech, it's a great opportunity for them to access the knowledge, the content, and potentially the new memberships that they can attract to become members of their global or regional communities.
Yeah, so really looking with that greater microscopic lens to those cities in which you're meeting to find ways to incorporate that thought leadership, that local thought leadership into your meeting experience. And we talked a lot about this last year in Austin is really the first year of looking for, tapping into that local knowledge economy and making that part of the greater experience, which is really exciting. What do you think, what sort of groups, I know you mentioned, biotech and things like that. Are there other areas that you think are important and those first steps that organizations can take? Obviously partnering with the destination who knows their local community better than anyone is a great first step. But how do you really get started to, start to lay the groundwork for finding those perfect opportunities that will align with your conference?
Well, I think the first thing that you do, particularly if you're a destination, is you have a very long look at the government economic development strategy, which identifies the clusters, which they see as great opportunities for growth. Let's face it, governments locally have one job and one job only, which is to provide the ecosystem for a sustainable society. And that means that you have to identify the clusters which are going to deliver the jobs that are going to replace those that are going to be automated out of existence in the next 20 years. So for the destination, it's relatively simple. And we're seeing how destinations like DC, like Geneva, like Sydney, are clearly aligning their efforts to attracting events in the clusters where they see the growth potential to create the jobs of the future. More importantly, what they're also doing is looking to attract talent, because at the end of the day, we appreciate that resource economies, manufacturing and service-based economies are on the wane, but those that are on the rise are the ones that are driven by human intellect. So it's that attraction of intellectual capital that's absolutely key. Let me give you an example. Geneva have a great phrase. They want to create the maison de la économie, whereby they're bringing together the Chamber of Commerce, the Convention Bureau, and the Economic Development Agency, because they're all operating on the same strategy, which is economic development. One of the clusters they want to attract is fintech. So they went hell for leather and successfully attracted Cybos, which is the huge financial services and fintech sector. In advance of that, they connected the Cybos community and their startup communities so that in 3 years' time, when the event came to Geneva, the startups had already developed
the
solutions that were to the challenges that were being addressed at conference.
Right.
Now, that led to a huge number of startups and new jobs in the fintech cluster in Geneva. That's smart
Fantastic.
thinking, and that's alignment between the mission of the association, the vision of the destination. You bring that together and you get one big happy word called legacy.
Perfect. I love it. Well, we could go on this topic forever, but unfortunately, just flipped on the other side of what's coming up next for you.